and welcome to Startup Central. I'm Nayantara, working from home in New Delhi. This is the only show of its kind on Indian television dedicated, of course, to startups, but also technology, innovation, disruption. Basically, if it falls under the gambit of the new economy, it's here every weekday at 6 p.m. on ET Now. Ladies and gentlemen, like all the stakeholders we feature on the show, Team Startup Central thrives on constructive criticism. Don't hold back. Keep writing into us. Tell us how we can improve the show, what's missing, how we can do things differently. Our email address right on top, suc@etnow.tv. You can also reach out to me directly. My Twitter handle is @Nayantara. We love constructive feedback, but we also lap up on compliments. Feel free to send those as well. That's, of course, just a joke. Or maybe not. Well, ever since India banned 59 Chinese apps, what we've also started seeing a trend is surge in traffic for made in India apps. A lot of them that might be in the same space that has now been vacated because of the ban on the 59 Chinese apps. My next guest is the founder of ShareChat. ShareChat, last time round when it did decide to announce its valuations, was almost a unicorn. It was headed towards becoming a unicorn. It has marquee investors on board, and ShareChat has also seen a surge in traffic, nearly 500,000 downloads an hour since the ban. And here is the founder joining us live right here on Startup Central. Hi Farid, thanks so much for joining us. Let me first begin by telling you, how has life for you and ShareChat changed since the ban on the Chinese apps?
Yeah, we've been all working 24/7. The best thing for us has been that we were the first app to appear on the circuit for the Indian language content ecosystem, and hence for us it is a watershed moment, and our entire team has been working tirelessly for the last 48-50 hours. Yeah, and I myself have only slept like 3 hours in the last 3 to 3 days.
So Farid, you've only slept 3 hours since the ban on the Chinese apps. I really appreciate you then fitting in this interview in your cycle. I really do mean that. But what you've also seen is a surge of nearly 15 million downloads a few hours after the ban on the Chinese apps, including TikTok. What I want to ask you is, you're a homegrown startup. You were doing well. In the introduction, I said that. You're doing very well. You're a Soonicorn, you're marquee investors, whether it's a Lightspeed, early stage investor, or even a Twitter that has taken a bet on you. But why is it that it took a ban on the Chinese app for you to get this kind of visibility? How did you get that visibility? How did people suddenly know, oh, there is an app called ShareChat?
Yes, because I think one thing that happened in the last 2 to 3 years is that post 4G adoption across India, all of these content companies which were doing very well in China and the US and had built algorithms and technology and infrastructure which is able to serve a large audience with a very good product. Like they had that capability, and of course they had the amounts of proceeds they had from the earnings in China were much larger than many of our Indian startups' entire valuation. So this piece of them having all the things in place made it very difficult for Indian players to come to the forefront. But now with this ban being there, it has created sort of a level playing field for all Indian startups to fight it out, to build the best tech, to build the best teams, to build the best product and experience for our own Indian citizens and for our people.
I get that point, and we also are having a massive campaign in India on ET Now called Atmanirbhar Bharat. It's part of our India Revival mission and all of that. But, Farid, the question I was trying to get was that, okay, you have a massive space which is vacated because 59 apps, including the mammoth, the giant TikTok, gets banned, and you start, for example, personally seeing downloads of nearly 500,000 every hour. The question was, how did Indians how did people get to know about your app so fast? And it's not just you know, everybody's been telling us how there's been this massive surge in traffic via Chingari, for example, on the channel. You've had Reposo, which has been coming up with these figures. Trell has come out with this. I'm just trying to figure out what happened. Did the Play Store and the App Store and the iOS started promoting you? Like, what happened?
I think the Indian internet user, especially amidst lockdown, was consuming a lot more content than usual. And because all of these apps were, as I said earlier, very good at serving the best content and targeting the best content, because of course they were taking so much of data. So because of that reason, they were very good products. But and they were taking up a lot of time of this user's daily internet time spent. Now, when all these apps went away, it created a sort of a content vacuum and a platform vacuum, which all of us as platforms are now filling up. And we have not just us, but Ropozo has been around for a while. We have been there in this journey for a while, and I think that vacuum has given that opportunity to us to freely grow, to freely see the power of viral growth, see the power of solving a true user need, and seeing your product market fit actually go to scale.
But tell me something, did you really feel that because the Chinese were here, it was impacting your growth? Let me talk about you personally. For me, part of ShareChat's fabulous story in India and success has been the fact that you decided to, have multiple languages. You went regional. You're a platform that does that. And how was that therefore curtailed or stopped by the Chinese? And please understand, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I want to understand, so I'm asking you all this.
See, I think it's a very easy answer, and it's not actually TikTok, which is like, if I can take names, but ByteDance also launched an app which was a clone of ShareChat called Hello. We also had a lawsuit in the middle with them, where because they had copied us end to end at that point. So one thing that was different was, like, we were a 100% organically growing app for almost the entirety of our lifetime, and which were dependent on our sharing to WhatsApp flywheel. And when somebody comes with a lot of marketing budget and is copying your exact proposition with content, with everything, just copy you end to end and just start bludgeoning the market with marketing dollars, at that point, the time that your organic funnel takes to grow versus your organic loop takes to grow versus the time that marketing gets you there. So marketing gets you much faster, get there much faster if you're spending a huge amount of capital. And this is exactly what was a core part of the strategy of all these apps that were working in India. So they curtailed the growth, the organic growth, and they actually curtailed the norms with which you build social media or social networks, whether you take the US or whether you take India. This is a very if I can take the name, this is a very Chinese way of building social networks, which is very prominent. It's not a bad thing, it's just how their ecosystem works. And that's that. So this was, I think, a mismatch of ecosystems and the way they were operating in the country. So yeah, so it was affecting us. Like, this was exactly what happened to us personally. But yeah, and the same thing happened to others.
So tell me something, Farid. Allow me to come in there. You said how the Chinese came in with this massive marketing dollars. You've alleged you've done it legally. You're talking about it again, how you filed a lawsuit. They were copying you. They were plagiarizing you. It was a replica. But the Delhi High Court did dismiss your lawsuit, right? That happened last May. After that, what has your growth trajectory been like? Do you still think that ByteDance being around was curtailing your growth, or then you got organic growth and each one to their own?
Yeah, no, that that wasn't entirely the case for us, because we are the one of the few players who survived the onslaught from the Chinese. And when this war hardening was happening between these two companies, between us and, let's say, ByteDance in this particular case, at that point, the kind of understanding and insights we built for our own product, our own users, allowed us to grow despite their presence. And now that they are not there, it has just magnified the scale and just grew very rapidly. As far as the Delhi High Court dismissing our case is concerned, of course we definitely agree with whatever the court gives us as an order, and we adhere to all Indian laws. But for a user, if your app stops looking pinkish and starts looking orange, that's if that is the only change, I think it's still as good as plagiarized. So
okay, I don't want to get into that, because it would not be fair. You cannot. I hope you'll understand, Farid, that because of the laws that exist, let's not go into that debate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the future of ShareChat.
Of course.
Now, I don't know how long the ban is going to be. We understand that TikTok is still trying to find a lawyer, for example, to represent the former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi has flatly refused to go against the government of India on this decision and represent TikTok. So while that carries out, there are already murmurs coming out that how TikTok is going to explain that all the Chinese apps are going to be explaining to the government that they're not stealing the data, and all of that is carrying on. I want to ask you that, and nobody has a crystal ball, but in the short term, in the absence of the Chinese apps, what is your plan? Here was, if I may say so, and what you've been trying to hint at, that the dragon was keeping you down. So now the dragon is not there. What's your plan? How are you going to become a tiger?
Well, we are a war-hardened tiger. We'll try to move fast, not break things, and serve our users in the best possible way that can exist. That's all we are going to do. We are just going to go out there and make it happen.
So are you looking at like, okay, I got to move fast, I need to accelerate my plans, I was going to do something a year from now, but I've got to do it now. Is that frenzy there? Is that there in your startup? And, I'm sure you have a lot of friends who are also founders. Are you all doing that?
I think frenzy, I don't know if it should be called frenzy, but of course it is definitely a moment of joy for all companies that we are seeing significant upsurge in our traffic. And with traffic comes work, and with a lot of work, and I don't think this work is something which people are minding now. I'm enjoying not being able to sleep for last 3 days, right? So I think it's not a frenzy. It's just a moment that will pass as well. We just have to make the best of it.
No, the point I was trying to make was, supposing you were going to do something a year from now. Are you saying, hey, let's do it now. Let's advance our timelines. Let's use this moment because we're growing so fast. Let's do that. That's what I was trying to ask. Is ShareChat doing that? Are your friends and founders and other startups doing that?
Yeah, so we are way ahead of our targets, which we set for probably 6 months later. Like things that we had discussed probably a few weeks ago. So we are growing quite fast. And yes, of course, a lot of other startups are seeing a great surge.
Okay.
I'm sure if you've heard of this company called Kagaz, which was a placement for Cam Scanner. It grew very, very rapidly. It's gone to some, I think, 1 million downloads in 2 days' time with zero marketing. So yeah, there are a lot of great things happening right now.
The other thing I want to ask you is, and you've been lucky. You were able to find a money plant, if I can call it that, to take on ByteDance. You were able to do a fundraise. You've had a very good growth trajectory. I'm sure you feel disappointed that it could have been higher, better, faster, much more had ByteDance not been around. But something that's going to impact the startup universe is the absence also of the Chinese investors. If you're going to have maybe Alibaba, Tencent, etc., not being allowed to invest, the investments will be pre-screened, the new investments at least. What's it going to mean for the startup ecosystem?
Yes, I think this is pretty much a function of pre-market. That we allowed FDI to be present, to be taken from all countries, and of course that was a big boom moment for our entire startup ecosystem. We all went through a huge rally of growth, and yes, if things become difficult, like taking investment, which I believe might become difficult. I don't know. You are the better judge, from Chinese investors. At that point, of course, there will be a significant portion of people who would be affected. But I also believe that during this period, there was a huge number of Indian VCs, Indian early stage VCs, Indian growth stage VCs, which grew. If I can name Stellaris, India Quotient, Bloom, and the ones which are already quite big. So so there is no limitations on the options that we as entrepreneurs have. But of course, the Indian VCs would have far more choices. So that would be a different thing. As far as large capital is concerned, I think we focused a lot too much on the Chinese strategics. There are a lot of PE funds, hedge funds, global funds of a variety of various kinds who have been investing in India.
There are enough options that exist there. You can, it's not as if because the...
Yes, because I
You're
think
basically trying to say that if that capital dries up from China, it's not as if the startup ecosystem is going to starve.
Yes, because these were prolific investors, so you heard a lot more about them, but they did not constitute the majority of the investor universe. So it would become more competitive in terms of for startups to find VCs, but it wouldn't be a capital starved ecosystem. We will be Atmanirbhar as well.
Acha, chalo, startup universe is also going to become Atmanirbhar, vocal for local. Farid, thank you so much. Farid Ahsan there from ShareChat. Thank you so much for giving us the time and joining us on this edition of Startup Central. I do hope you get some time to sleep. I know it's been crazy for you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sujanta.